Hello and welcome to Redcliffe Quarter here in the centre of Bristol. My name's Simon Swan, working for Cotswold Archaeology, and in this short little video I'm going to give you a small little update on how our archaeological works have been proceeding over the last couple of weeks. Behind me you can see the site. What we're going to do is pop down there in a minute. I'll give you a little run through on the background, the medieval history of Bristol, and what we've actually found up to the present date. We are here in the centre of Bristol. Bristol city centre is just a couple of hundred yards to the north of us, across the River Avon. We're here on Redcliffe Street. Redcliffe itself is located just to the south of the city centre, just the other side of the bridge. Redcliffe itself was a suburb that was built, founded in the early 12th century, around 1120, 1122. It was formed by draining a former floodplain and the construction of three main streets here, Redcliffe Street being the one on the western side, and we have St Thomas Street and Temple Street over here. These three streets led up to Bridge Crossing, and then within these were a series of suburbs laid out in plot boundaries, and then with houses off the street frontage with gardens running back to big ditches in the centre. Our excavations have centred down here in the southwestern corner off Redcliffe Street. Redcliffe Street is just to that side, and our excavations are behind the hoardings, and we'll go inside now and I'll show you what we've found over the last couple of weeks. Oh, here we are now, right in the centre of our archaeological excavations. We're actually here doing our work because this area is going to be developed. It's been derelict for around 20 years, but in the last year or so, work is undertaken now to redevelop this place. Mixed use, it's going to be residential, restaurants, hotel, shops, all of that sort of lot, making this place much nicer, much smarter than it was before. So, anyway, as I say, we're here right in the centre of the excavations. Behind me, we're working away. What we have is, if we can see this, we have Redcliffe Street, which is just over there to my right, and then behind Redcliffe Street, which is just behind the hoardings there, we've got our works, and they're concentrating on these plot boundaries that lead away from Redcliffe Street and lead down towards a central ditch in the middle of the site that would have taken any waste, water and other rubbish and umska and all the rest of it down to the River Avon and then out to sea. What we have behind us, we've got a number of different plots. As you can see on this here, we've got these plot boundaries marked in green, and then we've got the blue here is the remains of medieval houses that would have once fronted onto Redcliffe Street over there. Most of those properties now we have excavated, and we're down to the deposits below those. During the excavations of these buildings, we've found all sorts of really nice artefacts. Most of them are really nice personal artefacts, but they give us an insight into what was happening on a day-to-day basis throughout the medieval period. We have things like really good preservation of leather shoes, we've found coins, even found a mould to make coins. We found wooden barrels, really nice decorated pottery, even lovely little things like little lead weights in the shape of fish. All dating from the medieval period and giving us a really good insight into what was happening. What we also have found, and we've got that just over there, we've got a really large square red sandstone building, and that's marked on the plan here. And as you can see, it actually crosses three plot boundaries. So this building would have been built after the medieval plot boundaries have been laid out, and have probably been in use for some time. We're still not quite sure the exact function of this large square building. It's of considerable size and probably would have been something like a warehouse for a merchant. We're not that far from where the river used to flow. It would have been a lot wider in the medieval period, and it is literally only 100 or so yards over there to my right. So this building may have formed a large warehouse storage building. We're not 100% sure on the date of this yet because we're only just starting to uncover it, but early indications suggest that it's probably 12th century in date, there or thereabouts. But hopefully as we take down some of the associated deposits and we start to reveal it further, we will get much more of a nicer finite date for that building. And then over to the far side, we've still got more of the area to excavate. We've got to take some of the site further back towards the centre. But what we're most likely going to be revealing is to the back plots of the buildings. We've got the garden areas, and they're not gardens as we know them now, but there would have been areas where they would have done industrial activity, would have had stock, livestock, possibly small-scale horticulture, that sort of activity is going on out the back. But it's also where you get all the waste from the actual buildings themselves would have been brought out. There was no waste disposal. They would have done one of two things. They would have either thrown it in the river and had it wash out to sea, or if it was a sort of biodegradable stuff, they would have brought it out into the gardens. It did one of two things. One, it improved the soil, but it also raised the ground level, because here in Redcliffe we were very close to the water table and obviously high tides, etc. It was once a floodplain, as I say, so it would have been susceptible to flooding. So actually any material that came out of the house, dumped in the garden, raised the ground level, reduces the risk of flooding. But that's brilliant for us, because we find all the lovely little bits and pieces that people throw out. They didn't think we're useless, or they didn't think we're useful anymore. Got rid of all their broken bits of pottery, etc. That tells us so much of a story of what was happening, what people were doing within these properties, and the status. Were they high status, low status? What were they doing? Where was the stuff coming from? We're getting pottery as well. It's been imported from all across the European continent and Ireland, but also local pottery as well. So all of this ties in together and helps to create a really good, in-depth, interesting understanding of how this area developed from its inception in the early 12th century, right the way through the medieval period, into the post-medieval period, and pretty much up to the present day. So that's where we are at the moment. We'll do another updated video maybe in another couple of weeks' time or a month's time. Hopefully we'll have a lot more information. In the interim period, we are going to be doing an open day on Saturday the 15th of September between 10 and 4 o'clock. If you're interested, please come down and have a look. Well, we're going to be here on site all day, and we're also going to have a pop-up exhibition at St Mary's Church at Redcliffe, which again is only just a few minutes walk away from site, and there'll be all the finds and far much more information. But also come to site and actually meet the archaeologist, see the site itself, ask us any questions, and hopefully the weather will be as lovely as it is today. Thank you very much. Cheers for watching. Bye.